Most of us know balsamic vinegar as a common salad dressing, but traditional balsamic vinegar is something else entirely. It is a thick, sweet, and complex elixir so precious that a tiny bottle can cost hundreds of dollars. The secret to its creation is not a recipe, but a process of incredible patience involving a family's most treasured possession, a set of ancient barrels. This is the story of Aceto Balsamico Tradizionale. You think you know balsamic vinegar. The story of balsamic doesn't start in a medieval kitchen, it goes back much, much further. It begins with the ancient Romans. Long before they were building aqueducts and conquering empires, they were tending to their grapevines. They discovered that if you took the freshly pressed juice of grapes, the must, and cooked it down, the liquid would thicken and become intensely sweet. They called this syrup sapa. It was their sugar, their honey, their primary sweetener in a world without sugarcane. They used it in everything, preserving fruit, glazing meats, sweetening their wine. This cooked grape must was more than just a sweetener. The Romans believed it had restorative properties. The word balsamic comes from Latin balsamum, meaning restorative, curative. They used this syrup as medicine, soothing for a sore throat or an upset stomach. It was a staple of Roman life, tying food to health. This simple act of cooking grape juice was the first crucial step on a very long journey. It established the core ingredient, the soul of what centuries later became traditional balsamic vinegar. As the Roman Empire fell, the knowledge wasn't lost. The practice of making sapa survived. It threaded through the dark ages into the medieval world. In Emilia-Romagna, the ritual continued during harvest. Farmers pressed Trebbiano and Lambrusco grapes. It was slowly cooked, sometimes days, until reduced by half, becoming thick, sweet, fragrant. This was the foundation. The cooked must was a valuable commodity stored in wooden barrels. Over time, natural yeasts and bacteria in the air and the wood of the barrels slowly transformed the sweet syrup, a happy accident, patience, and observation. Families realized the aged syrup was something special. It was no longer just sapa. The true magic of traditional balsamic happens in a very specific place. Not in a cellar, as you might expect with wine, but in the attic. The acetaia, or vinegar loft, is where the transformation takes place. Here, under the roof, the barrels are exposed to the extreme temperatures of the region, the sweltering heat of summer and the biting cold of winter. This fluctuation is not a problem, it is essential. The heat concentrates the liquid through evaporation, thickening it and intensifying its flavors. The cold allows it to rest and clarify, letting the sediment settle. The attic is a crucial living part of the process. At the heart of the acetaia is the batteria. This is not a single barrel, but a series of them, a family of barrels, you could say. They are arranged in a line from largest to smallest, usually between 5 and 7 of them. Each barrel is made of a different type of wood. Oak, chestnut adds tannins and a dark color. Cherry sweetens it. Mulberry, ash. Juniper gives it a resinous, spicy note. The Batteria is a carefully orchestrated symphony of wood, each playing its part in the final composition. The process is one of slow, deliberate movement. It's a ritual known as rincalzi e travasi, topping up and transferring. Once a year, a small amount of the finished, most precious vinegar is drawn from the very smallest barrel. This is the only vinegar that is ever bottled and consumed. Then, that smallest barrel is topped up with vinegar from the next largest barrel in the series. That barrel is then topped up from the one larger than it, and so on, all the way down the line. Finally, the largest barrel, the mother barrel, is topped up with the freshly cooked grape must from that year's harvest. It's a continuous, fractional process. This cycle ensures the Batteria is never empty. It is a living, breathing system that blends the old with the new. The vinegar in the smallest barrel contains traces of every single year that the Batteria has been in operation. It is a liquid history, a blend of countless harvests. As the vinegar moves from the larger barrels to the smaller ones, it becomes progressively thicker, darker, and more complex. It's a journey of concentration and maturation. A batteria is not something you can simply buy and start. It is something you inherit. When a child is born in Modena, it is a tradition for the family to start a new batteria for them. It is a gift of time, a process that will mature alongside the child. By the time that child is an adult, ready to marry or start their own home, the vinegar will have aged for over 2 decades. This liquid treasure often formed a key part of a bride's dowry. It will be ready. It is a symbol of the family's history, wealth, and patience. This tradition weaves the vinegar into the very fabric of family life. The Batteria is not a factory, it is a sacred space within the family home. The knowledge of how to care for the barrels, when to transfer the liquid, how to judge its progress by smell, by sight, is not written in a textbook. It is passed down from father to son, from mother to daughter. It is learned through years of observation, of standing in the attic, breathing in the sweet woody air. It is knowledge held in the hands and hearts of the people who make it. Each family has its own secrets, its own particular blend of woods, its own subtle variations on the process. Imagine the stories these barrels could tell. A batteria might be started by a great-grandfather to celebrate the end of a war. It would be tended by his son through decades of prosperity and change. It would then be passed to his grandson, who would draw from it to celebrate the birth of his own children. The vinegar becomes a silent witness to the family's history, absorbing the joys and sorrows of generations. To taste a drop of 100-year-old balsamic is to taste the legacy of that family. It is to connect with people you have never met, who have all contributed to the creation of that single perfect drop. This is why traditional balsamic is so much more than a food product. It represents continuity in a rapidly changing world. In an age of instant gratification, it stands as a testament to the virtue of patience.
How can you be sure you're tasting the real thing? In a world full of imitations, how do you find the true Aceto Balsamico Tradizionale? The answer lies in a seal of approval and a very special bottle. DOP, Denominazione di Origine Protetta, protected designation of origin, a legal guarantee. Made in a specific geographical area, following a strict traditional method codified into law. It must be made only from the cooked must of grapes, grown in Modena and Reggio Emilia. It must be aged for a minimum of 12 years. Anything aged 25 years or more is designated extra vecchio, aged in a traditional batteria, overseen by a consortium. Before it can be bottled, every batch must pass a final, rigorous test. A panel of 5 certified master tasters samples the vinegar blind. They judge visual characteristics, aroma and flavor. Only then is it ready to leave the family attic. The approved vinegar is delivered to the consortium, which bottles it in a single legally mandated bottle. The small 100 milliliter bulb-shaped bottle with a rectangular base, designed by the famed Giorgetto Giugiaro. When you see that unique bottle with its numbered seal, you know you are holding a masterpiece. You are holding a piece of history certified and protected. So what do you do with something this precious? The first rule is simple. Put away the salad dressing. You would never use a 25-year-old scotch to make a mixed drink, and the same principle applies here. This is not an ingredient to be lost in a dish, it is the star of the show. True traditional balsamic is a finishing touch, a final flourish that elevates a dish from simple to sublime. It is used in tiny amounts, often just a few drops, or a teardrop, as they say in Modena. Add at the very end, never cook with it. Drizzled over aged Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, over fresh strawberries, over vanilla ice cream. It transforms a simple dessert into something extraordinary. A tradition that began with the Romans, perfected in the attics of Italian families and passed down through generations. It is a testament to the idea that the most precious things in life cannot be hurried, a secret history captured in a single perfect drop. If you enjoyed this journey into a culinary secret history, please consider subscribing to NeuroNexus Earth.